everyone, I'm Satomi and I offer a hands-on bread making class here in Tokyo. Today I'm going to share my sesame seed shokupan. It's very soft and fluffy on the inside and the sesame seeds add a gentle nutty flavor. This bread is perfect for sandwiches and toast. I'll also share my tips to make your sesame seed shokupan fluffy. Let's get started. Before mixing the ingredients, there are a few things we need to prepare. The first step is adjusting the liquid temperature. Our goal is to keep the dough temperature between 26 to 28 degrees after kneading. This temperature range is ideal for yeast activity and gluten development. Right now in Japan, it's winter, and the room temperature is about 20 degrees, so I use liquid that's around 38 degrees. In summer, the room temperature can be close to 30 degrees, so I use iced liquid instead. Please adjust the liquid temperature based on your room temperature. This time I'm using an egg because it adds a nice flavor and pairs well with sesame seeds and sandwich fillings. It also helps the dough rise because the egg yolk acts as an emulsifier, helping the milk and butter blend together. This improves dough elasticity and oven spleen. Thirdly, lightly coat the sesame seeds with about 1 gram of oil. This helps prevent them from absorbing moisture from the dough. Lastly, bring the butter to room temperature. If you use cold butter, it takes time to incorporate into the dough. And if you use melted butter, the dough will not rise properly. Once everything is ready, add all the dried ingredients to the stand mixer bowl. To make a soft and fluffy sesame seed shokupan, use bread flour with 12 to 13% protein. This creates strong gluten and a fluffy texture. Add the sugar, salt, and instant dry yeast. I usually use cane sugar because that's what I have at home, but regular granulated sugar works as well. Make sure you use fine salt. Coarse salt doesn't mix evenly into the dough. I'm using instant dry yeast, so I can add it directly to the dry ingredients. If you're using active dry yeast instead, dissolve it in water and pre-activate before mixing. Once you put all dry ingredients in a bowl, mix them briefly with a spatula. This helps them absorb the liquid evenly. Add the egg and milk, and again mix roughly with a spatula. Attach the dough hook and place the bowl on the stand mixer. Start mixing on low speed until all the flour is hydrated. Then increase to medium speed and knead for about 10 minutes. I usually set my KitchenAid to speed level 4 for medium speed. At the beginning, the dough may stick to the bottom of the bowl, and that's totally normal because the gluten hasn't developed yet, so avoid adding extra flour at this stage. If you do, the dough may become too stiff once the gluten develops, and the bread may turn out dense or tough. As long as the dough isn't sticking all over the sides of the bowl, the hydration is just fine. You can scrape down the sides if needed. After about 10 minutes of kneading, the dough should be elastic and slightly stretchy. Now it's time to add the softened butter. Before you start the timer, make sure the butter is fully mixed into the dough. Knead for another 10 to 15 minutes on medium speed until the dough is smooth and elastic. Now the dough looks like it has developed gluten, so I'll do a window pane test to check if it's ready. Gently stretch a small piece of dough using a zigzag motion with your fingers while rotating the dough. If it becomes thin and see-through without tearing, it's ready. If it tears easily, keep kneading for a bit longer. The total kneading time of my dough was around 23 minutes. Each dough requires a different kneading time, so be sure to adjust based on the condition of your dough. Hydration is also key to achieving a fluffy texture. Once the gluten has developed, the dough should feel sticky. If your dough turns out too dry or too wet, adjust the amount of liquid next time. Now it's time to add the sesame seeds. To help distribute them more quickly, gently mix them in by hand first. Then mix on low speed for 2 to 3 minutes until the seeds are evenly incorporated. Once the sesame seeds are incorporated evenly, take the dough out of the bowl and check the dough temperature before proofing. If it's between 26 and 28 degrees, it's perfect. If it's lower, fermentation will take longer. If it's higher, proofing will be faster, so watch the dough carefully. Let's proof the dough. Shape the dough into a smooth ball, creating surface tension by tucking the side underneath. The dough should have surface tension before proofing so it can relax properly after proofing. This helps build elasticity and allow it to expand well in the oven. Place it in a bowl seam side down and cover with a damp towel or shower cap. Let it proof in warm place until it's about 2.5 times bigger. Again, proofing time depends on the temperature of the dough and the environment, so always watch the dough, not the time on the recipe. The dough has now expanded more than doubled in size. The dough temperature of this dough was 26 degrees and it took about 1 hour in a 35 degrees proofer. To check if the dough has proofed properly, do a finger test. Lightly flour the center and gently place your finger into the dough. If the indentation stays, it means the dough is well proofed and relaxed. You should also notice small bubbles on the surface. If the hole springs back or no bubbles, let it proof longer and check again. Lightly flour the dough and gently press out the air. There's no need to remove all the gas, just enough to release some bubbles. Pull the sides of the dough away from the bowl, then scoop it out onto your work surface. The surface with the indentation is now the top, and from now on, we'll keep this side facing out. This helps the dough hold the gas better and gives the final loaf a smooth and polished finish. Weight the dough and divide it into 2 equal portions. When you divide it, shape it into an oval and cut the middle so that you get wide area of the top surface, and it's easy to shape into a ball, keeping the top surface on the outside. Now shape each piece into a tight ball. Degust the dough and fold the dough 2 times, keeping top surface on the outside. Place the dough on your palm and tuck the sides underneath to create smooth surface as you rotate it. Again, it's important to create surface tension. Cover with a damp towel and let them rest for about 20 to 30 minutes until relaxed. While resting, lightly graze a pan with oil or butter. Now it's been about 30 minutes. After resting, the dough should feel soft. If it still feels tight, let it rest a bit longer. If your place is cold, it will take longer for the dough to relax. It's time to shape the dough. Lightly dust it with flour and gently press out the air. Flip the dough over. Dust a little flour again, then roll it from the center towards the top and bottom. Stop the rolling pin just before the edges to gather the dough slightly on both ends. Then roll it side to side to form a rectangular shape. Degust the edges of the dough and gently pull from the center to shape the corners. Next, fold the sides of the dough to the center so they overlap slightly in the middle. Roll it gently to seal the edges. To release the tension in the dough, flip it up once. At this point, the width of the dough should be slightly narrower than that of the pan. Now roll the dough up from the top to make swirl shape. It's important to keep the dough a little bit tight when you roll up. This helps the dough rise in the oven. Begin by folding the top edge firmly, then continue rolling the dough downward. Sealing the edge by pinching it closed. Place the rolled dough seam side down in a pan, keeping the space in between. Be sure the end of the rolls is facing outward. Cover the pan and let the dough rise to the top of the pan. Make sure to preheat your oven to 200 degrees before baking. Now the top of the dough reaches to the top of the pan. Slide the lid onto the pan and wait another 5 minutes. Please remember that when you add ingredients like sesame seeds to the dough, the gluten becomes weaker. Also, this recipe uses a smaller amount of dough on purpose, so the dough can trap more air inside and have a lighter texture. For these reasons, the dough doesn't expand as much as usual, so I let it rise fully during the final loaf. This helps the dough grow nicely and form a clean square shape. After 5 minutes, the dough touches the back of the lid completely. Place the pan in the preheated oven and bake for 25 to 30 minutes. After baking, remove the lid and gently tap the pan to release steam. Remove the bread and cool completely on a wire rack. It has a very nice golden color entire surface. If the loaf color is too light or too brown, next time adjust the oven temperature slightly and keep the baking time. If the loaf is too small or overproofed, adjust proofing time. Remember, bread baking is always a learning process, and mistakes help you improve. Once the bread is completely cooled, slice it from the bottom corner to make a clean cut. I love to toast this bread as it gives a crunchy and light texture. It's perfect for sandwiches. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more bread recipes. Let me know in the comments what bread you like to see next. Happy baking, and I'll see you in the next video.